It's Friday night.
Welcome
to the ZWade Photo Show, the photography and chill podcast with your host,
ZWade Photo.
Welcome to the ZWade Photo Show. I'm your host, ZWade. Got a good show lined up for you tonight. We're going to do a little housekeeping, a little YouTube management. Got a little bit of news for you that has occurred in this first week of April. And then we're going to follow it up with a sneak peek at some 85mm f1.2s images that I shot this week. I'm making the video right now. I'm doing a different video first, a more important one. And I'm trying to get that video out by 8 o'clock on Sunday. But we're going to look at some other images that I've shot since. Guys, they look amazing. I'm really impressed with the 85mm f1.2. We're going to get into all that, but first, let's do some housekeeping. First up, I'm getting a lot of gripes and complaints about the first 85mm f1.2 video I did of the images, right? The first images. Everyone's saying, I can't see the purple fringing or the green fringing. Calm down, guys. So often whenever I'm making videos, first, the fringing is there. But whenever I'm making videos, I sometimes flub up, and so I have to, cut things. And also, more importantly, to keep videos from being 40 minutes long, I got to cut things down. So often what you have to do when you're video editing is you take good audio, right? And then you just try to match it up the best you can. Like either I screw up on the computer or I screw up with my words, and you got to blend the two. And then also you cut out a lot. And so in that video, I actually cut out the whole correction process. And I didn't realize until people started complaining that that image is actually already corrected for the purple fringing. But something I want to mention that I ended up cutting out of the final version of that video is it is really easy to correct, right? And so in that video, I mentioned that I remember the days whenever, purple fringe correction or chromatic aberration, whatever, that tool was kind of junky, right? It didn't used to be very good. Now it's really good. The 85-1.2 is pretty well controlled in its purple fringing and green fringing. There is some, anytime I see it, whenever I come across it again, we'll look at it, I'll show you, but it is there. But in that video, it was corrected for as I was talking about it. Totally just a mashup of the editing. So now that that's out of the way. So in my Nikon D780 versus Z6ii video, I said if that video got 100 likes, then a random subscriber would get to choose what camera and the lens I had to use in an upcoming video for a photography genre of their choice. And I'm really happy to say thank you all. That video did indeed get over 100 likes. And so we get to pick a winner. And it looks like our randomly generated winner is Vic Roman. Vic, that means that you get to choose what camera I have to use with what camera lens for the photography genre of your choice, and I will make a video out of it. You can send your list of demands to zwadephotosales@gmail.com. That's zwadephotosales@gmail.com. That email will be in the description. Now, before we hop into the exciting 85mm f1.2s images, I want to go ahead and run through some news here because there's some interesting things that has been going on in the last week or so. And so first off, apparently the 400mm f2.8 has not fulfilled non-NPS orders that were ordered in like January of 2022. And that's kind of insane. And I know that's really annoying, guys. That really sucks. If you have the money to spend on something like that and it's still kind of in limbo, that's really kind of like nerve-wracking. Keep in mind, guys, those premium telephotos take a very long time to make. I heard once upon a time that it can take upwards of 2 years to make those lenses. They're very, very, very premium, very complex, and it just takes a long time. And on top of that, for whatever reason, it seems like premium products have a bigger customer base than they used to. Just think about the Nikon Z9. Before the D5, the D6, like those didn't sell quite like the Z9 did. And I feel like the difference between $5,500 and $6,500, once you get up to those kind of figures, $1,000 isn't that much. And so you're not going to convince me that the difference between $5,500 and $6,500 is all that great. I really think that people either have more money now or they're just more willing to go into debt for photography gear. Now, that's absolutely crazy, guys. Don't do that, okay? Granted, I live in America where something like 70% of people have a really kind of horrifying debt to income ratio. Here's the thing. Don't let photography and consumer products be a part of that debt. Save your money for things, okay? I really don't think people have any more money now than they did when the D6 came out, but for some reason people are way more willing to spend. Okay, so just be patient. The consumer base is way bigger on these premium things than it ever has been before. And I know, granted, I'm saying be patient, and you've been waiting for, over a year. That's tough, guys, and I'm sorry for you. But Nikon is still struggling with, production capacity issues, and there's nothing that can be done about it. Nikon still hasn't learned. Remember the D850? In other news, it looks like two of my speculations are kind of true. So Sigma finally came out with some Z mount lenses, and I'll get into what I think about those in a second, but they're both DX lenses and they're both f1.4. So first, we were told by Nikon that, they'll allow third parties to make lenses for the Z mount as long as they complement the system. And I speculated that that meant as long as they don't compete with the Z mount system. And that's exactly what these lenses are doing. And they're competing in the two ways that I also speculated, right? DX support and also apertures, right? Specific apertures. So the lenses that we have right here coming from Sigma are the 16mm f1.4 DC, the 30mm f1.4 DC DN, and 56mm f1.4 DC DN. Now, I no longer have a crop sensor camera, so unfortunately, unless they send them to me, I won't be able to test these. And even if they did send them to me, I would have to do it on crop mode, like on the Z9 or something like that. I can't really find a whole lot on the 56mm. The 16mm didn't find much on that, but this 30mm, I encourage you to go check out the flicker because I went and looked at it and it looks pretty darn nice. One of two things is happening with this 30mm. Either only talented people own that lens and they're posting their stuff on Flickr, or it's just a really stinking good lens. And the price point is actually pretty good. All of these lenses are coming in at $399 for the 30mm, and then the 16 and the 56 are like $500. And so for sure, the 30mm at the lower price point, it has a lot of contrast. It looks like it has a lot of contrast, a lot of color. It looks very sharp. Looks like a very, very, very nice lens, right? I've never been much of a Sigma guy. I've always been a Tamron guy, but nonetheless, Sigma looks like they did a really good job on that. So if the 56 and the 16 are, as good as the 30, which I'm sure they are because it's the same line, it's the contemporary line, I think this will be a very, very good thing for the Z mount. Now, we can actually stop complaining at this point because you pretty much have everything you need for the DX line, right? Because whenever you incorporate this crop factor, you basically have the 16 equaling 24, the 30 equaling 45, and the 56 being 84. So basically you have like your kind of standard in between. I actually like the 40 to 50 range. Like 45 is like a really comfortable area for me. Like the Tamron 45mm f1.8 was one of my favorite lenses in f mount. I like that range more than I like 50 and more than I like 35. So it's just a very, very comfortable area. So that's nice. You got something right in the middle. You got like basically a 24 equivalent, which is like a good street photography walk around, like some landscape. And then you have the 56, which with the crop factor comes out to 84. That's perfect for portraits. And it's f1.4. You got everything you need in the primes. Now, hopefully you guys will get some more zoom support in the future and also some other options for primes. But for now, I think this is a very good offering. I encourage you to research these. The price point looks really good for the quality that I saw. Just go over to Flickr and check those out. I'm not going to pull them up here because I don't know about the legality of that, right? And our last bit of news, it looks like a ton of people were duped on April Fool's Day by that awesome April Fool's joke talking about the ZM, like the medium format Z. Let me just say this, and I still don't know if it's possible. I've heard both sides. I've heard some people that know more about lenses say it's totally possible with the size of the mount to have a medium format Z camera. And I've also heard people that know more about lenses and lens crafting than me and cameras that it's not possible and it never will be. But I just want to say that if it were possible, I'd be the first in line. You can bet your bottom dollar. I would love a medium format that would take the lenses that I already own. Now, if Nikon were to come out with one and it was going to be a different lens mount, I wouldn't be as interested because I would like to have a medium format camera, but I don't want to basically change systems within the system or branch into another system within the same system. It's too much for me. But if it were possible, Nikon, if you're listening, if it's possible, give me that. Now, also in this is something that kind of we've been speculating a little bit about, but it was kind of lumped in with the joke, and that's the future of Nikon video kind of thing. And so we've been talking about this little icon that Nikon put out, right? And it's kind of looks like maybe it has something to do with video. It looks like a video camera, and I just saw yesterday that it could be something along the lines of like software. So some kind of video software or proxy something. I don't know. I'm not that much of like a computer guy or software guy, so I don't know. But I want to reiterate a point that I've actually already made in the past, and that's I would really love to see a box style Nikon cinema camera that takes Z-mount lenses, because I am really impressed with my videographer Chris's red Komodo. It is awesome. The files are incredibly easy to manipulate and color grade. It's a 6K camera, right? But the problem is you can't put Z-mount lenses on it, and I don't think you can even adapt. It will take Canon RF lenses, and that's really inconvenient. And so if Nikon were to put out a camera that can take my Z-mount lenses, I would probably buy that on day one. Not so much for myself to use, but mainly for being out in the field for me to shoot B-roll, because it is so, I'm telling you guys, like cinema cameras are so nice to work with and they look so amazing. Let's say I come across a guy or a gal that they have a lot of talent and a lot of creativity, but maybe they don't have a video camera, right, that would be on the level of the kind of production that I'm trying to put on, right? Here is my Nikon Cine camera. Here is the lenses. You can use any of these lenses. I know you're super creative. I know you understand the concept. Here's a really nice camera to put your talents to work. And it's paid for by the company. It's insured. If anything happens, I own it. The business, ZWade Photo LLC, owns it. It's totally fine. You use my gear when you come out and work for me. I would buy that on day one, as long as it was similar, right? So something like a 6K, you know, and like that box style. I would absolutely freaking love that. Now, will Nikon put that out? I really have no idea. I don't imagine they would right now, but Nikon, if you're listening, I believe you would have a fantastically strong customer base for that kind of camera that takes, you know, the lenses that we already have. Oh, that would be beautiful. Again, guys, this is all speculation, which is why we won't spend a lot of time on it. Now, moving on to the most exciting part of the show as far as I'm concerned, and that's giving you guys a sneak peek at these Nikkor Z 85mm f1.2s images that I took. Now, this video is coming out probably in a couple of weeks. I'm working on a totally different video right now, my real first in the field production of the 85 with the 85mm f1.2. But this will be coming. It's a little older style, you know, GoPro style. I didn't have a videographer, but the images are absolutely stunning, right? And so I want to jump into those and just show you guys how amazing the 85mm f1.2 is. Guys, we had a bit of a tragedy over here. So in the first half of this photo edit, I just have to throw this out there, you'll see that the sliders are visible on the side. I'll do myself up in the top corner next time, but in the back half of this photo edit, had a total systems failure, had to reset up everything, and the scaling of Lightroom was a little bit off. So I apologize ahead of time for that. I hope you enjoy this photo edit. Let's do it. A lot of these images have been edited, but none of them have been edited to the full scale that I usually edit. So no skin retouching yet, no, you know, Luminar Neo skin AI, nothing. Okay, but something really amazing is going on with the 85-1.2, and that's it. Something special with eyes is happening. And yeah, it has a lot of contrast and it has great color, right? And all of that is helping, but I think that just that super shallow depth of field, it just brings all of your attention to the eyes, and then the other qualities of this lens are what make the eyes so inherently beautiful. This one has not been edited at all, and guys, it's just really sharp. It looks absolutely fantastic. If we just give this a little play, I mean, it's just, it's so fantastic, man. The skin just looks beautiful with it, because it's not like f1.8 sharp, right? I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, well, it's not as sharp at f1.2 as the 85mm f1.8 is at f1.8. Well, I'm like, well, of course, ding dong. Like, it's f1.2 versus 1.8, but it is really, really, really darn sharp at f1.2, but it's just soft enough from the point of where you focused that it smooths out the skin, right? And it just makes it way easier to work with in post. And see, this one has absolutely nothing done to it yet, and just look how good it looks. It's so contrasty. It's a little underexposed because I exposed for her face, and her pants are very dark, but just give that a little bit of that. Now we have a little bit of something in there. Give this a little white. And I'm just doing like almost nothing to it, and it just looks so good. I mean, stunning. This right here, not totally done, but I kind of was just checking on how it looked in black and white. The eyes need to be, brightened up a little bit. And then this one here, very high key, very high contrast, and it just looked great in black and white. And this one here, absolutely no editing done to it yet. I just exposed it correctly, right? Generally, I like to underexpose by, 2/3 of a stop or whatever. But this one, we went with a fairly dead center exposure. It just, I mean, it looks freaking amazing. Guys, this lens is so sick. Here we have a very ugly cast because of this wall. And that has been the case for a lot of these. And I've just been doing a little bit of cooling off and a little bit of tint adjustment to bring a little bit more of a fleshy color into Claire, our model. And, from there, it's pretty easy to just kind of do your thing. Need some contrast. Let's go ahead and cool it down just a little bit more. And, I mean, it's just wicked, wicked sharp. Man. Especially, this is with the Z9, by the way, with continuous autofocus and eye tracking. And, man, I could not be happier with the performance. It's just so... You do have to be careful, though, because... we may see here in a minute that arms fall out of focus really fast at f1.2 whenever you're this close. And so if you want the arm to be in focus, see, this is out of focus and then the hand is in focus. And so if you're not careful, it can get a little bit silly, but I don't care. It just looks amazing. Here's a more creative shot. I got to do a little bit of work, got to brighten the face a little bit, but we just kind of subframed this a little bit. This is through a brick. And even looking through this, you see how high key and bright this is. The Z9 at f1.2 had absolutely no problem seeing right through there to the eye, which is really sharp. I mean, it's right on. And this is, by the way, after the firmware update that adds support to the 85. It was pretty good before, and I didn't really think it was going to make a difference, but it definitely made a difference. So if you have the 85.1.2 or if you've got it ordered, go ahead and update your Z9 because it does seem to be making a big difference. And see, here we were shooting in kind of a darker scene here. No problem. No problem getting that eye. And again, with absolutely no editing, let's just like bring up the exposure a little bit. It's just beautiful. Guys, this lens is seriously, seriously sick. Okay, so we're going to get into a few of these that I have already put a little bit more work into. Again, no skin retouching yet. I got the first stage of that done. I've got to brighten the eye a little bit. But, I mean, just look. I mean, it looks so fantastic in black and white. There are loads of different intertonal look. I mean, you got blasted white. You got 1,000 different shades of gray. You got dead black. You got blasted white. This is micro contrast, guys. This is a huge gradient of grays from dead white to black and then everything in between. I mean, it's fantastic. And like the separation from the background is super fantastic. We've got one here in color. Again, I had to do some work to get the ugly yellow cast that was coming from the wall. But I mean, look, it's looking through here. It did not get confused by this fence. It just, look, guys, it is dead sharp. So if anybody's like, well, you know, maybe it doesn't seem, the 8512 doesn't seem as sharp. Look, I actually pulled down the texture to -8. I pulled it down a little bit, guys. It's perfectly fantastic. Actually, I just screwed up my clarity there. This one perhaps needs a 5:7 crop on it, maybe. Yeah, that's just a little bit better. But again, I mean, it saw right. The Z9 saw right through it at f1.2. It just doesn't care. It's like, that's the eye? Okay, cool. This is probably my favorite of the bunch. I mean, wow, right? What did this look like before? Yeah, okay, so it wasn't as yellow casted. Boom. Just add a lot of contrast and everything. Just boom. Absolutely crazy good. But see, even this is, you know, nice punch, nice separation, and this is with no contrast added. You know, it has that secret sauce that just makes it look good straight out of the camera, raw on a flat profile. It looks this darn good. You know, then you just do your little magic and boom. Give it a little saturation. Yeah, baby. In this one here, beautiful black and white. Just look at all the different tones that we get. This is extremely good lighting right here. I just need to brighten the eyes a little bit. But, I mean, super smooth transition into the shadows, right? It's not harsh at all. Beautiful. That's a combination of great lens design and an awesome camera. So this is kind of the scene that I was dealing with. And it's just a mixture of everything that was kind of resulting in that yellow cast that I was talking about. You know, this isn't a particularly attractive orange back here. You know, this fence, it's kind of yellow back here. It's just a lot of things going into kind of making it look ugly like this. And so I decided to do something a little different, a little Instagram inspired, Instagram influencer kind of color. And I mean, I think it looks great. I mean, we've got the orange and then we've got the teal, and it's pretty close on a color chart. That was the whole point. There's a lot of red and like orangish downtown, and so that's why I requested that Claire wear a teal shirt. And it's not perfect on the color chart, but it's pretty close, and it contrasts very, very well. And yeah, I just went with something a little bit different. And I got to finish these up, touching up the eyes, and of course, lots of more images in here that we're not seeing that need to be fixed up. This one here, I did miss the eye a little bit on this one, but this is what I was mentioning earlier. Like, if you get really close like this, you see how the arm falls out of focus, and it does look a little bit silly. So just be aware of that. If you have this lens or if it's on the way, you do got to be aware of that. This is probably my favorite one so far from this day. Like I said, I'm not done yet, but I love how this one turned out. I mean, just super sharp and beautiful in the eye. You know, the hair is looking great. The background just looks destroyed. Super cool. This fence looks cool, and it creates this foreground and background isolation of the subject. Looks absolutely sick. Okay, now maybe this is my favorite. I love the color scheme that I decided to go with on this one. Look how wicked that is. God, I mean, even at 200%, it looks amazing. Still got to finish up my work on it, but like the color of this is just done. It's been decided. It looks absolutely sick. Oh my God, I love this lens. Love this image. Here's another one, just a little bit different composition. Oh man, guys, you can't beat it. You can't beat it in the Nikon Z lineup, and I haven't shot the other brands, but I bet this challenges it. Man, this looks absolutely savage. Same kind of color scheme and skin tone, you know. The Z9 just saw right past these, which are very, very bright. It ignored it, went right through to the eye. No problem. This is basically what it looked like before. I opted for this one was a little more straight, but oh baby, the power of editing. Looks great. And now we're going to get into some experimental stuff. Look at this. This is so cool. Absolutely awesome. So I knew from my first test that the 8512 looked good in black and white. I saw this opportunity, and guys, this is just, I love it. This is a more creative approach, which what else are you going to do with a lens that's this expensive and this high performing and this amazing? You know, you better use it for something creative. Absolutely love it. I haven't decided on which one of these I like the most. This one, technically, the elbow and everything is in the frame, but I almost kind of like this one a little bit better. So I haven't decided on that. Maybe you guys can let me know in the comments. Number 2, number 1. This is a totally accidental shot that I kind of like. It's like a candid, but you know, it's kind of cool. I'll take it. Here's another one that hasn't been edited at all. It needs a little bit of that special love because of the cast that we're getting from this wood and this wall, but I mean, just gorgeous. Guys, this lens is so primo that it's just crazy. This one we did a little bit of work to. It still needs some. I feel like I kind of maybe want to play with the colors a little bit more, but you know, it's all right. It's all right. I like the composition. It's super punchy. This one here is very moody, very dramatic. I skipped to this one to the end, you know, as I was going through. I really liked this one, and so I decided to edit it a little bit. I did not finish. This is where I started working on the other project that I've got to get out by this Sunday. I basically have to do the whole thing, you know, so I'm kind of crunched for time. But let's see if we can find one to finish off this episode of the ZWade Photo Show with a little bit of an edit. And honestly, I mean, the eye is so in focus and sharp here. I think this will probably be a good one to finish on. So let's give it a little brightness, play with our highlights, just a little bit of a shadow. Of course, we need whites, we need darks, we need some clarity because we like that. A little dehaze to punchify it, get a little contrast. And I could tell by the histogram it needs a little more light, a little less highlight. Boom. Now let's go ahead and maybe warm this just a little bit of a tint because I'm liking that pink kind of color in this particular shoot. Okay, now let's go down to color. Let's see what's going on back here. See what this is. It's oranges, so let's saturate that. And I actually might want to change the hue of that, make it a little more, maybe like right there. I like that, kind of makes your cheeks look a little rosy too. That's a side effect. Let's find this color here and let's saturate that. Boom. I'm liking this already with very little effort. Let's go ahead. Let's grab our radial gradient. Guys, this is how I like to do my vignette because I like to be in control of the vignette. You know, you can kick it over, do like a little bit of that. And this is a little bit awkward because of the negative space that we have, but we'll roll with it. Let's just go ahead and invert that. Just focus it in just a little bit. Needs a little more brightness. Boom. Absolutely amazing. Okay, now let's go ahead and get into Luminar Neo to do a little extra work in Skin AI. If you are using all three, Lightroom, Luminar Neo, which is a sponsor of this channel, by the way, if you want to try it out, I'll have a link in the description. If you're using both of those with Photoshop, that is a great preliminary step to get ready for actual retouching, which I do in Photoshop because let's be honest, they have the best retouching tools in there. It's really effortless with the spot heal in there. Now we take our Wacom pen here, and we're just going to make sure this is set to brush size. And we're just going to zoom in here. And we're going to do a little bit of work. As you can see, I'm leaving some of these speckles from the makeup. It just kind of gives it a little bit of like realism. And also, we're about where I want to be as far as Photoshop is concerned. And all these other little mismatches in tone, I can fix that pretty easy in Lightroom. And so that's my typical workflow for Photoshop. And now we can just kind of head back. Before I finish this image, I want to mention again that I hope to build this show into a editing show of subscriber submissions. So if you want to submit a photo, then I hope you'll go ahead and do that. You can do that at zwadephotolive@gmail.com. Email me over there. If you have a Gmail account, it's preferred because I can just tie you right in to the Google Drive where you could submit your image. And hopefully we get enough in there to do like about an hour's worth of a show. I really hope you guys will help get that going. I still need a few more submissions to get the first subscriber submissions going. So keep in mind, RAW is always the best. It gives me the most to work with. I'm not critiquing your work, telling you how to do it. That's not what I'm doing. I just love photo editing, and I would love to see what you guys are shooting and what I would do to edit it. It doesn't have to be what you would do. I just want to see how I would interpret the shot, and then you could tell me whether you like it or whether you disagree with the edit. Now, let's go ahead and finish this one up. Actually, now that I'm looking at these, I don't really know that they need to be blended so much. Just go ahead and let me get my brush and we'll test it out. And if it doesn't really seem like it's doing much, then I won't really worry about it. Let's go ahead and jump in here a little closer. Guys, this is really easy. Just like barely any exposure on a brush with a nice feather. And you just hit these kind of darker areas. And it just kind of helps to blend them a little. And on the areas that are like obnoxiously darker than the others, you just go back in with another brush and do it all over again. This area over here is actually coming off on a kind of an odd color. And so I'll probably just like adjust that too. So I'll paint over that just a little bit, and then we'll see first if temperature can kind of, yeah, just a little bit on the temperature, kind of blended it in with the other tone of the skin. Perfectly fine. I don't think the eyes need to be brightened, do they? No, not really. They were kind of perfect. Had the perfect amount of light on them. Now this is going to be a little bit tougher. I'm going to try a Lightroom spot heal on this one and just see if we can't, boom, like that. Let's go ahead and get back to the mouse here. So select a new source. Just kind of move this around, see if we can find a tone that kind of blends. Might have to go a little smaller on it. Yeah, probably have to go a little smaller on that one. Do it batch by batch. We're just trying to get it to where you wouldn't notice at a distance. Because the shade is a little bit different. There's some texture in there we don't like. And then we could try one more big one here. See if we can't. Oh, come on now. Encompass both of those. Come on now. Now I think I can work that with another brush. Just kind of hit that in there, and we'll darken that. Groovy, and actually maybe a little bit of a play around to get the tone right. That's a little bit better, and I don't think we'll notice that at a great distance. Nope. Looks okay to me. I do see a little bit of an area right here. Let's grab another brush and just give it a little exposure. Just a tiny bit, and we'll kind of, oops, just kind of go in there. The tone's a little messed up. That's a little better. Give this a little, come on, Zach. There we go. And then we'll just do another one, go in a little smaller. It's got a little too much texture for me. And so we'll just come in here, pull back some texture, see if we can smooth that out a little bit. Just a little bit, I think will kind of clean it up a little bit. Yeah, I like that a lot better. Guys, I would call that good. We've got a pretty good retouch across here. I don't see any spots that offend me. We got a couple of areas that were kind of bugging me on the texture. This right here probably wouldn't bother anybody, but I know I can fix this with just like a spot heal. Like that. Let's check that. Boom. Good to go. Well, guys, there we have it. An absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous lens. It just does beautiful things with its depth of field. It really brings attention to the eyes. And, man, I could not be happier with this lens. You guys can look forward to this video coming out within a couple of weeks. As I mentioned earlier, I have a very exciting cinematic style video coming out. I'm trying to get it launched by Sunday. Don't forget to hit zwadephoto@gmail.com. That'll be in the description to submit photos for the next episode of the ZWade Photo Show. Thank you for coming to the first legitimate episode 1 of the ZWade Photo Show, and I hope you'll come back next week. For now, I'm ZWade, the ZWade, and ZWade Photo, and stay sharp, YouTube.